part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Hey, Mark here from the editing booth. I'm going to do a little bit of a preamble recording here because later in the show, you're going to hear me say, hey, it was kind of a big week of news. And then I wasn't looking at my notes and kind of missed all the important things I wanted to talk about. So I'm just going to put them here before the show starts. First thing is a project called Charity EP Jam, which is a yearly charity album benefiting able gamers, organized by our pal, friend of the show, Chell Wong. This year, she got 50 composers to contribute songs to this. It ended up being a double album. And in fact, I wrote a song for it. And it comes out this Friday, June 11th. Please check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes. Again, it benefits able gamers and a bunch of I've heard a lot of this music. It's so great. Really, really cool project. So please check that out. Second piece of news, also for charity, and also friend of the show, Alana Lanier, put together a bundle on itch.io called the Indie Bundle for Palestinian Aid. All proceeds go to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees, and it is a bundle of 1,000 games. It has already raised over $500,000, but what it may not have raised yet is your dollars. So please, you only have a day and a half left to contribute. So please do. Minimum of $5, and you get over 1,000 games. We're very proud of Alana for putting this together. A lot of our work is in it, a lot of great stuff from our community, as well as some really good indie heavy hitters. Third thing, real quick, later in the episode, I do talk about, and in fact, announce the game I'm working on for the Playdate, the cute little handheld console made by Panic. This week, you may have seen the news that they announced, they kind of did an E3 style Nintendo Direct, where they talk a lot more about the stuff they're working on, announce when pre-orders are going to begin and all of that stuff. So lots of new information and new news on that. I encourage you to check it out. That'll be in the show notes. But what's great is that the game I'm working on was part of that showcase, and I'm really proud of that. When we recorded this episode, I didn't quite know exactly what would be known at this time, so I don't really get into it. But we're going to have those details in the show notes for you to check out as well. So 3 things I missed: Charity EP Jam, itch.io Palestinian Aid Bundle, and news about the Playdate, including a project from yours truly. So please check all that stuff out and enjoy this very special episode of Nice Games Club. From one single location in Minneapolis, this is Nice Games Club, the show where nice game devs talk gaming and game development, but not this time. We're going to be talking about a bunch of other random crap because we have no agenda for this one. It's a special in-person special. Where we are all in the same room together.
Yes.
And
that's the draw.
That's the hook.
Right.
That's the special part.
So let's get going.
So let's start. If everyone is ready.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready?
Eh.
That's how I feel too.
Hi.
So this is going to be, dear listener, this is going to be a weird one.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's going to be any good.
Yeah.
But it's important for us. So I don't care that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fine. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. We're charismatic. That's how you speak. Charismatic. Yep. And it's okay. It's very awkward because I'm not used to using this microphone.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lean back. I'm going to turn down your microphone a little bit.
I'm sorry. Apologies. See, we've had difficulties the whole pandemic with my voice because the way I speak, I speak very quietly sometimes, and other times I'm very loud. So, and I don't control it. I don't control it very well. Actually, this is a problem at when I go to family gatherings and things. My dad will very frequently be like, "Hey, can you be quiet?" And I'm like, "No, I can't. I don't know how to do that."
And then 3 minutes later, but can you speak up?
Yeah. No, actually, they never have it. I think I'm probably a lot louder with my family than I am with most people.
I mean, I've known you a little while.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah. Well, you've seen me with my brother. So
yeah, that's true.
I guess listeners have heard me with my brother.
Yeah.
So they know about it.
So, Ellen, this is a particularly new thing. We're staring at each other right in the eyes right now. You
Stop.
And me. And you've been you were a guest on the show a bunch of times before we brought you on as a permanent host.
Yeah.
And your first couple episodes we were recorded in my kitchen, and then we immediately went up. So basically, your tenure has been pandemic.
Yeah.
So is super weird for you, I bet.
It is weird. I remember when I was a guest a second time, or maybe a third time, we recorded here in your apartment. Mm-hmm. But then, when I joined the show as a permanent host, literally the day after, it feels like then the pandemic started and we had to figure this whole weird.
And we developed a whole bunch of systems. I mean, this is true of all podcasts. We developed a whole way to do this, and we hit the ground running. We didn't miss a week. I think I'm pretty proud of us that we were able to make it work.
Mhm.
We developed new structures for the show. We got a whole bunch of new guests.
Right.
I think with the growth, the show grew a lot
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the past year. And I think like a lot of people who like are learning lessons from the pandemic or just being kicked out of their routine and finding a new way. It's not always related to the pandemic, but I think we did that too. And so it's weird for me too, because like, it's not just going back to before pandemic time, but before all the growth that the show has had in the past year.
Mhm.
It does seem strange. Just looking at the two of you 2 feet away from me, it's weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird, you guys.
Yeah, it is. There's no. Well, I have a screen in front of me. It's my laptop, but there's no faces on it. I'm just seeing text.
Right.
My face is over here.
Yeah,
My face is over here.
I can't do both things
Yeah.
anymore.
So we are recording in my home office now. We moved out of my kitchen,
Yes.
and we're going to be here for a while, but we're still going to be doing. I think interviews are probably going to be remote
Mhm.
for the most part. We'll get into more pandemic stuff, but the pandemic is not over.
Right.
I think we are celebrating, and I think it's very rewarding for us to be able to move to this next stage, but it doesn't mean it's over.
Right. Yeah.
So the show is going to be going to a hybrid model, I guess. We're going to go back and forth. We have to write a new intro for these in-person ones.
Why do you got to bring that up?
There's a lots of little flotsam
Yeah.
related to the program
Yeah.
that I think longtime listeners who have heard the show change over the years, evolve slowly in bits and pieces.
Right.
It's another era of that. It's going to be interesting because today we recorded an interview today.
Mhm.
So it was the episode you listened to last week, which was great. That was
It was
such
a very good
episode.
interview.
Yeah. And then the two of you got got on a train and in a car and came over here,
Yes.
and now we're doing our stuff. But we can't. I don't know if we can do that each time where we record. There's too much time in the day for that to work necessarily.
Mhm.
It's a new world.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with something. I don't know. We've not figured it out yet.
Yeah.
But I
No.
think we definitely. I mean, we could just keep recording remotely. It's working just fine. We don't want to do that.
Right. No.
We.
In person is
I know.
so nice.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Like that was this whole week for me. It's like second dose was 2 weeks ago on Tuesday. And then I had a whole bunch of things where I was visiting people. This is one of them.
Do you feel like you overloaded it a little bit?
No.
Okay.
But I think anything. But I am looking forward to working from home tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Memorial Day, right? So
Right.
some people aren't working, but I will be because I don't know, because it's time for me to go back into my cave. I guess.
You control your own schedule.
Yeah, I
now.
control my own schedule.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, I don't think I overloaded myself, but it has been like a little bit like jumping into a lake in May, where it's like, yes, okay, I feel that,
Yeah.
Okay,
sure,
if you
yeah.
don't live near lakes, May is a cold month for lakes. The lakes are still cold in May, so if you jump into a lake during May, it's going to be cold.
Yeah.
That's not to say it's unpleasant.
I didn't
but
know that.
You're going to
I've
feel
lived
it.
here all my life.
Okay. Fair point. I mean, to be fair, I don't usually jump in lakes in May because
Right.
it's cold.
Right. Now
Yeah.
now I know not to do that.
Right.
Do it.
Even though I haven't done that before.
I got to work on my analogies when we're in person, I guess.
Yeah, we're. I was just coughing a minute ago, and I was like, "Oh, it's fine. I'll just mute myself." Wait, can't do that.
Mute yourself by slamming your face into a pillow, and
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the strat. No,
It's not a bad idea.
it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
It's something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Until you're done coughing, not permanently.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well.
Yeah,
Right.
use the pillow, and then eventually they just stop making any noise.
Yeah, visiting. I was fully vaccinated on Thursday. I saw an out of town friend
Mhm.
immediately. She had been vaccinated for I think a month
Mhm.
or something beforehand too. But yeah, like that was really nice. And it's kind of weird, like this whole pandemic. I was very nervous that like coming in person, meeting people again in person, being social and stuff would be real awkward
Mhm.
again, because like you hadn't done it in a year and some change. So like I thought maybe I have forgotten some things, but it felt very natural for me doing it again.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's a cliche, but like it's like riding a bike or whatever.
Yeah.
But we've all developed new habits, but it's 14 months, it's a long time. It's not quite long enough to forget everything.
Yeah.
But it moves a lot of it outside to the back of your mind.
Yes.
And so you don't know what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as a result, it's a little bit of a reset too.
Yeah.
In terms of like your social interactions and such. You kind of get the opportunity to do a little bit of resetting and reevaluating on how you enjoy social interactions and how you don't. I know there's a bunch of people who like don't want to work in offices anymore because they've had to, work from home for this long, and they felt perfectly fine with it. For me, it just reestablished the fact that I definitely need an office. I can't do it. I'm sick of working on my couch in my 1-bedroom apartment. So yeah, it's kind of it's wild seeing that.
I think for me, it's my personal. The thing that I've noticed most over the last week is that my personal bubble of space has expanded.
Yeah,
a little bit. So like just a little bit ago, when we were all hanging out, when I first got here, we were all hanging out in Mark's living room, and we were all sitting, and I was like one corner of the room, and Mark was one corner of the room, and Steven was on the couch, and I'm like, wait a second, I don't have to sit over here 8 feet away.
Yeah,
I can sit on the couch with Steven.
Yeah,
and I had to realize that. And then I had to do it, but it like my instinct was to sit on the opposite side of the room where I was safely outside of everyone's 6 foot, space.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder how quickly we're all going to go back to having the sniffles. After an event or something. I think a lot of people have heard this, but like flu season was non-existent this year, for the reasons that you'd expect. And I think people are like, oh, I'm going to keep wearing a mask. I've never been sick. I've been, been as healthy or whatever. I wonder how dedicated people are going to be to holding on to some of those good habits, and or just because again, it's not enough to forget everything. Mm-hmm. We might just, people might just have a mask in their backpack or purse or pocket more often, but maybe it won't actually change that much. Maybe things will just go very much back to normal in a lot of ways. It'll be very interesting over the next, and over the next year to see.
Yeah.
And not especially because, as we have an international audience, so this might seem a little bit premature to some folks in other countries, but, the US is at a steady pace, or about 50% vaccinated, at least one dose in the United States, and the different states have different rates. But that timeline is going to be different for everybody. And it's going to be, the last bit of it is still so far away. Like I think a lot of us individually, a lot of our life is going to go back to normal, but the world around us won't fully right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some time to adjust to that. And we're like slowly getting to the point where like we can do the things that we were able to do a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to a movie theater and stuff, going to a restaurant and feeling comfortable with that. And, not necessarily having to, and not everybody, I guess, wearing masks to serve your food and such.
Yeah.
All of those things are going to be eventually coming back, but it'll just be a slow process. So, and it'll just be hard to know when it's safe again.
Yeah.
I don't know, because we only have statistics, and we haven't been really given. I mean, throughout the entire pandemic, we haven't really been given guidelines as to how we're supposed to interact in a lot of ways. There's you can't go to things, and then you can go to things, but like that's not a good way of that doesn't tell you what you need as an individual and what you feel comfortable with. So it's just going to be kind of just a slow transition getting back to all of those things again. I miss movies.
Yeah.
Going to the theater. I miss I can't I hate watching horror movies, but one thing that was nice about horror movies is that if I'm scared, I can just hold on to whoever's next to me. Can't do that when you live by yourself. Yeah. I can hold on to a pillow, I guess, but it's not the same. Pillows aren't quite warm unless you heat up your pillow.
Mm-hmm. They don't get scared very easily.
Yeah, that's one thing that's nice about pillows.
They don't get scared.
They don't get scared.
I used to go to matinees because I with a freelance lifestyle, I could take an afternoon or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to, when I would get stir crazy in my home office, I would go to matinees, and I would just be I would see whatever. I mean, I'm pretty picky when it comes to media, but I would drop my guard a little bit and just to go have an afternoon out
Yeah.
and just eat some nachos in the dark. And there weren't a lot of other people usually at these showings, so it was kind of just still sort of by myself.
Mhm.
But I definitely, it's going to be a while before I can like go see a bad movie again,
Yeah.
because like I do miss movies as well, but I guess I just missed the nachos in the dark part. So it's going to be a while before I remind myself like, no, it's okay to see this crappy film because you just want to eat nachos in the dark. Go
Yeah.
ahead, go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not this, it feels like a special event now. And it
Yeah.
will be a special event the first time where you're going to want to go see a good movie
Right.
with your nachos.
Yes.
Right.
You're not going to want to waste those nachos on a bad movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That
Well,
makes sense.
Ellen, you put together a short list of things that you want to do now
I do.
that you can.
That I can.
It would now be a good time to run through them.
Sure. Let me check my notes.
This is a good comparison for listeners because, like, we're not the most prepared program in podcasting history.
What?
But-
No way.
But we have outlines. We do prep work.
Yes.
This is what it's like when we do less of that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh boy, that puts things in perspective
Mhm.
too, because I do a lot of the prep work.
Mhm.
Thank you, Stephen.
No, I
Well
mean
done.
what I mean is we do so little prep work, and a lot of that is me. So I appreciate y'all saying thank you. Oh goodness.
Okay, so here are there are more than 3 things, but I wrote down 3 things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing that I would like to do, and I might need to do this sometime this week, is to go get a waffle at the Buzz Cafe down in Burnsville.
Oh. Okay.
So the Buzz Cafe, it's a little cafe, and it's called the Buzz.
yes.
And they,
Following you so far.
okay, good. You're with me. And they have like 200 different types of waffles, like waffles that you can get toppings, just all kinds, like pages and pages and pages of different waffles, sweet waffles and fruit waffles and savory waffles. They have a Cuban waffle. It's part of their savory waffle menu.
Mhm.
And it's like all the ingredients of a Cuban sandwich, but on a waffle. And it's so good. And I haven't had it in so long. And I just really want that waffle. I want that good waffle.
I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. You've talked about this on the show before.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have. I love it so much. I'm gonna take Eric and I'm gonna go get a waffle this week. That's my plan.
Sounds good.
I should double check that they're actually doing like dine-in service, although they have outdoor seating.
Okay.
But I want to sit inside and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want that waffle.
Yeah.
I want that savory waffle. And for some reason I want to go bowling.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good. Oh, now I want to go bowling.
I know, right? Like it just hit me. I kind of want to go bowling.
I don't want to. I don't want to go.
Steven, come bowling with
You
us.
don't
I mean,
have-
I'll go with you for social purposes, but I don't actually want to go bowling. I don't know.
Bowling places have waffle fries.
Yeah, I do like waffle fries.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Some of them have tater tots.
pizzas.
Pizzas. I like
Mhm.
pizza.
Do you not like bowling?
No, I don't dislike bowling. I just don't. I for some reason you said bowling. I was like, I have no interest one way or the other. I don't know. Why. I am more interested in the social aspect of it, so I would
Mhm.
go bowling with people. Even though,
When you go bowling, is it if every time someone gets up to throw a ball, they hug you on the way up to the lane?
okay, that sounds
Okay.
good. Yeah, we'll do that.
You'll be so sick of hugs.
I don't think you know me well enough, Ellen.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
I'm just kidding. I probably would get sick of hugs at that point. It's like, my turn to bowl. Okay, I'm in. Yeah, that'd be.
I'm not good at bowling, to be clear. Like
I'm
this
not
isn't.
either, yeah.
I'm really.
No one's good at bowling. That's not the point.
That's, there are some people, but I don't play with them because I'm so bad.
Yeah.
But that's a very non-pandemic safe activity, right? Like all these people moving around,
Yes.
touching the ball and being like, "Oh no, that's not the one I want," and putting it back, and then
Exerting themselves.
putting
Yeah.
their food in their face.
There's
Yeah.
lots of air blowers
Oh.
in various places.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so not pandemic safe, but
Uh-huh.
that's the symbolism of it,
Okay.
Yeah.
you know?
Now I'm interested in bowling as a symbol.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
the
as a
symbolism
symbol.
of
That's interesting.
You just
I
wanna
hadn't
go,
really
like-
considered that.
touch this ball. This is not my ball. Put it down. I'm also going to touch this ball. It's not my ball. But you're just going to touch the ball and put it back because
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Bowling is the true measurement.
This is
It's freedom. It's what freedom is.
it's freedom is bowling.
That's what our forefathers fought for.
Yeah,
Bowling? That's a practice. Goodness sake. Okay. Oh, what else do you want to do, Ellen?
Have people over
Yeah.
at my house.
I
Yeah.
don't know that I've ever been in your house ever.
I have not.
I don't think so.
You should have us over.
I
Yeah.
will.
If you need an idea for who to have over.
You
should have
guys?
us, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good,
I'm available.
good idea.
I'll check the calendar, but I'm pretty sure I'm available.
I do have dogs. Just be aware.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind, but I'd still come over.
Yeah. I have hung out with your dogs because you've brought them places where I have been.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
I have not seen your dogs in their natural habitat,
Yeah.
which is making noise at you during the podcast recording.
making noise. Even earlier today, I'm sure you heard it, Dante go. "Roar."
I did hear that. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, no, I put him in the office with me so that he wouldn't bark at people walking by. And then so instead he made those sounds, so there's no way to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some people over for game night on Thursday night. We've been doing like Discord games,
Mhm.
like on Tabletop Simulator and Board Game Arena and stuff like that for several weeks. This is mostly the people who I used to do D&D with, but D&D is currently on hold because one of our players just had twins.
Oh.
So we've been doing tabletop games instead, and they came over and we did tabletop games at the table.
Whoa.
And we put snacks in a bowl and we all ate from that bowl.
Whoa. That's so cool.
It was amazing. So stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Mhm.
We could come over and we could all play Vengeance.
I gotta fix some bugs first.
The game is finished. It's out.
I know, but there's like a soft lock issue, and
Uh-huh.
the time trial doesn't work, and I wanted to put that in.
Well, when Steven's not there, we'll play Vengeance because we don't want to stress
Right,
Steven
right.
out.
It's fine. We can play it. I've shown my game off enough to know that that's just how games work. It's fine. Yeah.
Those are my three things.
I don't have a list. I didn't make a list. I was
Yeah.
told we weren't going to have a script, so I didn't
No.
prepare a script.
Right. You
No.
you will be graded at the end of the program.
Oh,
but
really?
but you didn't have to prep if you didn't think you had to.
Thank goodness this is an open notes test.
You can put bowling on your list now.
No, I don't. I still don't want to.
Not even symbolic bowling.
I mean, symbolically I will bowl, but metaphorically I will not. I don't know. I don't know what those words
But
mean, I guess.
actually, will you?
Yeah, I guess. I don't have a list of things I just want to do. No, okay. I do have things I would like to do. I want to go to a club.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gone to a club in a long time, and I miss dancing with people.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite place? Where's the first place you're going to try to go?
My friends would just drag me to places. That's the thing.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't remember a lot of the clubs. I just go to them and then dance.
He likes when his friends drag him to places, and still he's resistant to bowling.
Well, we'll have to,
I said I'd go.
Steven, we're going to a club. It's totally not bowling. I'll dance with you at the bowling place.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
That sounds good. Yeah, I want to do that. What else I want to do? I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I think I've been sort of avoiding like fantasizing about things I would like to do at the end of the pandemic because I was like, well, I'm in the middle of the pandemic. If I do that, this is just gonna be torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to the point where we can do it. So now I feel a little overwhelmed because it's like I can do all these things. I mostly just want to see people I haven't seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's mostly what I want because I just miss I interacting with people online. I do not enjoy as much as interacting with people in person.
Mhm.
I mean, just literally what we're doing right now feels a lot better, and we've been afforded a lot of opportunities just due to us being able to record the podcast online.
Yeah.
And I am very appreciative of that, and I really enjoyed that we were able to do that. But I mean, at the same time, it was a bit of a sacrifice, I suppose, because it's just
Mhm.
I just really like that, just like being in person with people.
Yeah.
So that I guess is basically what I want. Is I just want to be able to be in person with people
Mhm.
and also dance at clubs.
I mean, I think intellectually, I think I agree that being with people in person is better than watching them in a little Zoom box. Like, there's just no arguing that.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this when we've done our pandemic check-ins. Like, I don't know. It doesn't bother me as much as I
Sure.
think it bothers other people. And that kind of worries me a little bit because like now, not that I'm not eager to go back to things, but like I'm not going to be making any plans really. Like
Yeah.
I'm not motivated to like, I mean, I've got you guys over.
Yeah.
But like I don't do a podcast with anybody else.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about being left out of the coming out party that we're all going to have.
I don't think that makes sense specifically for you, Mark, just because I mean I've known you a long time at this point, and like you are social, but like I think you like having a tight knit group of people.
That is true.
So we're that tight knit group of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like having you all in little boxes where you just organized where I can keep track of you.
yeah.
And where Ellen can't touch your stuff. I'm touching his stuff now.
Yeah.
There's a drawer with
You
an
can
arm's
just
reach.
assume throughout the rest of this recording that Ellen is
Ellen
touching
is just
something.
opening drawers and grabbing things in my office.
It's yeah.
Everything will work.
Yeah.
Totally
You invited
the
us
same.
over. You
Yeah.
expected this. I hope.
But I will say the things I do
Yeah.
miss it's kind of boring really. It's like I kind of just want to go to a restaurant for lunch
Sure.
and pull out my laptop and stay there for 4 hours.
Yeah,
Oh, that
that's
sounds
not
amazing.
boring at
Like,
all.
that's something I would do a lot to get out of my my routine when I was working.
Yeah,
Is I would just go to another place to work, and like the chairs weren't as comfortable, and like after a while they they weren't as excited about refilling my soda because they weren't going to get another tip from me, I guess.
yeah,
And I didn't have my two displays in front of me, and it was just less ideal, but like I just needed that refresh sometimes.
yeah.
And so I'm gonna like going back to that, but that is still me by myself. I do
Well, I mean, in that if you're going to a restaurant, you would be by yourself. In that, like, you wouldn't necessarily be interacting with a lot of people, but like
Yeah.
you would be in a space where other people aside from your wife are in,
Mhm.
That's true.
right?
That's
So
true.
I think that
Also,
is
I will say
important.
one of the things that is I think I've said it on the show before, but
Mhm.
like being locked in this apartment with Dale this whole time has been amazing.
Yeah,
Like, you are all worse for not having your lock-in experience that I had. Like Dale started
true.
working from home.
Yeah.
Like we hang out all the time.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I love her so much. And so I'm very fortunate that like that. I think I'm pretty good on my own, but like I got Dale with me all the time, and
Mhm.
so that is alone to me is having that. If I didn't have that, I think I would be a much more depressed person about all of this. So I guess I have to remember that part of it.
yeah.
But yeah, I love people and I love out in the world. But yeah, I don't know that I want to necessarily like I don't want to go to the club.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
But
I think the club is
I
a Stephen
like-
kind of thing.
Do you want to go bowling?
Well, not when you air quote it like that. But
Yeah. Ellen, take Mark to bowling and take me to the club. What does that mean, though?
I
Where are
think
we
that is
going?
She's taking both of us to her basement to chop off her arms.
We'd be
No.
visiting your house. We'd be over at your place.
That's true.
Hey.
I think we're just going to plan a series of outings. Once to my house.
Uh-huh.
Everyone will leave with all of their arms.
I'm gonna need that in writing.
At least I can't promise for my dogs. Just kidding. And then we'll go bowling, and then we'll go to the club.
There we go. Perfect.
Sounds pretty good evening. I mean,
that's-
first you'll be a little miserable, then I'll be a little miserable,
Yeah.
and then the night will be over, and we'll all leave like happy.
Yeah.
Ellen will be most pleased, which is the important part.
Right. Oh goodness. I interrupted you though, Mark. I'm sorry. We were saying something about something. I just don't remember.
I'm gonna use that line. Like
Something about
when I want someone to be mad at me, I'm gonna.
Goodness.
So you were saying something about something.
I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh boy.
Yeah, I want to see other people out in
Yes.
the world enjoying the world.
Yes.
Like I'm a believer in society, and so
Yeah.
that fills my heart, even if I'm sitting in a corner, by myself.
Yeah.
So I do also miss working around other people.
Mhm.
And so as much as I am like, I've got my command center, my home office, I'm very comfortable, got everything I need. It's my best working environment.
Yeah.
But I do miss working in a space with other people because again, I get to see other people do their work, and even if I don't talk to everyone all day, like there's an energy to that, and
Right.
I do really like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's not all of my like get back into the world are not things I can go do. It's like things that are now happen while I do other things, or so I don't know. It's kind of having a harder time putting it into like a checklist or something.
I mean, I think all of the things you're describing are things I really want too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right in that like it's not like a checklist sort of thing. It's like an essence. It's like a fact of existence that like we haven't really had a chance to
Yes, yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
We get to experience that again.
It's like environmental.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you're. It's like waiting for a specific type of weather, something like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like waiting for a seasonal change.
Right.
I can't wait till the days get above 75.
You know, that actually is something that I miss too a little bit. We live in Minnesota and it gets super cold.
Mhm.
I haven't had to experience super coldness, which
What are you saying, Steven?
I'm saying I like
Steven's
to
just going to hibernate every winter.
I like to fear for my life a little bit. That's part of the pleasantries of Minnesota.
It's true. Builds character.
Yeah. If it's not below 50 in my apartment, then I don't even know what I'm doing.
Part of being connected to nature is freezing your ass off.
Wait,
Yes.
did I mishear you? You miss being outside in the cold? Is that what you're saying?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
Just, I don't know. Like, I really like what I have been doing most of the pandemic is I have just been stuck in my apartment.
Mhm.
I would go to my parents every once in a while, and then it's been nice. But like, I'd only be over there for like a day or an evening or a day. And so it was mostly just me in my apartment. And I don't have a car, so I felt very paranoid going to places because I didn't. In order for me to do that, I need to take a train,
Mhm.
or a bus or something. And so like, I would order all of my food, order all of my drinks or whatever things I needed, and it wouldn't leave. So I wouldn't really leave my apartment. And I know I could go out and go for walks, but I don't know. I normally when I do like walking, but normally I need a reason to go to a place to
Mhm.
walk.
The same way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
So as a result of that, I haven't really experienced weather changes
Mhm.
other
Mhm.
than just seeing it outside of my window.
I like that.
Yeah.
I put on my coat 3 times this winter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not exaggerating.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
literally the amount of times
Yeah.
I mean, I look pretty good in my coat, but like, I was happy to have passed on that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That is interesting. Like I think that's common. People love the drift of time and the change of the way. Like, all of that is a part of feeling like you are part of the world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel that, but I understand it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it felt, well, like a lot of people said, like, it's been March 2020 for
For a
12
year.
months. Yeah.
For, Yeah.
And it really kind of felt like that because other than like seeing my window change, like weather and stuff, I didn't really experience the changes in temperature
Yeah.
and actual rain and snow and stuff. Like, there are very frequently times when I forgot that there was snow on the ground, that it was actually winter.
Mhm.
And things like that. Like, it was I don't know, I had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
I get, but like, at the same time, it was nice that I didn't have to experience extremely cold winters.
Yeah.
Right.
And didn't have to trudge myself through the snow. But I don't
Do you
know.
think that there was something that, yeah, because obviously freezing outside in Minnesota winters is not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
But you're not talking about that. It's not I want to feel something to feel alive.
Yeah.
You're saying that there was something else about it that you maybe didn't know that you missed.
It just didn't feel like things were changing
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
normally does.
Right.
And that's, yeah. And so, like, being able to experience that temperature change and weather change and it being raining means that each day is different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It felt like a lot of days were the same. It felt like 5 days of Monday and then 2 days of weekend.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
What has been nice is like scheduling different like game sessions and stuff with people on different days, because
Yeah.
then it tells you, oh, today is Tuesday.
Right.
I've got Star Trek or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say, yeah, my week has been more structured and routine
yeah,
during the pandemic
yeah.
because you have to schedule things
Mhm.
for it to happen.
Mhm.
There's much less spontaneity.
yeah,
I don't mind that. I don't mind it either way, I guess, but it is just interesting that how I wonder how much of that we'll hold on to.
yeah. I don't know. It's a good question.
I mean, Ellen, you had weekly D&D for 100,000 years, so that's scheduling a social life is probably not new to you.
No, and it's just kind of the way that Eric and I operate because we have lots of different interests. So like, if we were gonna do something, it's like, is it on the calendar? No. Well, then it's not real.
Yeah, you're both Scrum Masters at heart, so
yeah. Well, and just exactly. So it's not something I'm unused to, but taking it offline, back out into the world is going to be weird. There's like stuff I haven't had to think about. Like when you're scheduling something, you're trying to meet up with somebody, there's like travel time that you have to account for. And there's traffic that you have to account for.
Yeah.
And you have to like put your shoes on. And
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are all things.
yeah.
It's true.
I'll say so. So this is background here. So I'm a type 1 diabetic. So when I go somewhere, I have to take things with me.
Mhm.
Right.
Ever since I was young, when I was diagnosed, I always have to have props with me wherever I go.
Yeah.
And so when I was younger, that was syringes and vials and stuff. And these days, it's an insulin pump.
Mhm.
And if I was going to go there somewhere for a long time, or the pump is low, I need to bring with me the supplies to refill it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I developed a habit pretty early on of always having a backpack or a satchel or something. So that's just how it doesn't matter if I need anything else. Like I always, but that's one thing. Now that I've been going out running errands and stuff a little bit more freely in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I was fully vaccinated a few weeks before the two of you. And so I've started to just almost take advantage of it by like not ordering groceries and going to get groceries just because I could.
Yeah.
And I still I didn't do anything different. I had the mask on and everything, but it's now when I go out, it takes me much longer to get out the door.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I forget that I have to like get all the things I need to get.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be such that if I walked out the door without a backpack, I was very nervous to not have extra stuff. And now, because now I have to rehabitualize that. I still need to go do it. I just don't know where I put everything. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it takes twice as long, even though if you probably clocked it, it didn't. But it feels like it takes twice as long because you gotten rusty.
Yeah, and I always do the double check. People do like phone wallet keys or whatever.
Yep.
Like I have kind of a hypersensitive version of that, and so I do that. But I don't. I haven't had to do it, so like I'm just way slower at it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'll be like, Dale, I'm gonna go run that errand now. I'll be back pretty soon. Should I pick up some lunch for you? And then by the time I actually get, like literally by the time I get going, it's been another half an hour.
Yeah.
Because I've just been like, it sort of like stopped in my tracks. And then Dale is just getting hungry. And
How do I go out in the world again?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like a lot of those little small things, the habits. Like I mean, I don't remember when the bus leaves or the train leaves.
Yeah.
I used to be pretty good at knowing when the train would leave in the morning and such. And I mean, I haven't really had to take the train very much since I've been vaccinated, but not being familiar with that again, I have to remember all of that stuff or refamiliarize myself with that stuff. And so it's been like that I got to pick up all that again and remember all of that. I'm going to be late for things. I think a lot more.
Oh no, you're totally right. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. And I'm at the mercy of the train, so it's just how it is going to be, I think.
Right.
It's fine. I don't mind that. Actually, taking the train has been interesting. I mean, I've only taken it. Well, I took it on Thursday, and like there was only one or two other people in my car, which was weird because I mean it was in the evening, and I realized that a lot of people aren't taking the train now, but just like only having a few people in the car is
it's
so
interesting.
strange.
You were talking about that off the air a little while ago, and
Yeah.
it was confused because I've taken the train downtown a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle of the day, and it's been less people, but still, you still have to work to find your 6 feet between.
Right.
And I was thinking like, oh well, that must just be the case. The work day, and there are a lot of people who just have to take the train.
Yeah.
And this was back when earlier when I was fully vaccinated, it was still pretty rare-ish. So I was assuming that it wasn't full back to normal. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's good that the train is still operating. It's still serving the community that it needs to.
Yeah.
And then you described but as the evening, this is a roundabout way of saying, I wonder if it's just that the train ridership that's dropped is elective train ridership, right?
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're probably right. yeah, I think that's a lot of it. It's just like people who didn't have to take the train are no longer taking the train. So it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Which-
well, that'll pick up now.
It'll start picking up soon. But like one of the draws of taking the train is being able to see people doing whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's annoying because sometimes people be loud or whatever.
Mhm.
But other times, you
I would say the fact that you have that romanticism of riding the train is just so heartwarming, because I think that's not what people would expect. They'd be like, "Oh man, this train is empty. Finally," you know.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know. Like I feel like that is a draw of taking the train. Like if
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
just go a place by myself, I would have bought a car by now.
Yeah.
Or I'd take a lift or something, frankly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The having the train and like being able to see a bunch of people just taking the train, just sitting around
Yeah.
and being in a space where other people are in, I think was nice. Yeah.
This whole pandemic has made me realize that kind of experience is actually really important to me to have. Like, it's important for me to have that kind of experience on a regular basis,
Mhm.
because that's like, I've had lots of small one-on-one contact, like going out and walking around with friends, or my sister and I going to like a dog park with the dogs and walking around and hanging out with Eric and so on and so forth. So I've had a lot of like one-on-one contact. We've had the game nights with friends. Like, we've been doing the podcast, and I've had all these like small group conversations, but going out and just being in a mass of people,
Yeah.
of people doing just like existing
Yeah.
together. It's generally fine.
Mhm.
And just being in that kind of space on a regular basis is something I really missed. Like, I used to, when I was in the before times, if I was having a rough day, I'd go down to the Mall of America. I don't like shopping at the Mall of America. I really don't. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
as a shopping experience, like, it's, yeah.
Mhm.
And but it is kind of like an indoor park, and they've made like lots of green spaces and
Yeah.
kind of fun lights and things like that. So I would go there, I grab a coffee, and I just kind of walk around and look at people and just walk. And it always calmed me down. It always made me feel better. I would never buy anything because that would not help me feel better. It would have made me feel worse. But, well, aside from the coffee, and then I would just like walk around and see people doing people stuff, and
Yeah.
it was really reassuring.
Yeah.
And haven't had that in a long time.
Mhm.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that too.
Is the Mall of America open?
I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is.
Okay. Well.
I mean, things have, everybody knows this, or in our American audience anyway. Like the like you were saying earlier, Stephen, about like not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
There's been a little bit of like guidance whiplash, and
Right.
most recently the CDC guidelines on vaccinated people and masks. I think a lot of people, I want to say of our persuasion, of folks who were very cautious and very trust the science type folks,
Mhm.
it was very nerve wracking to suddenly hear, like, initially the guidance only 2 weeks prior was, yes, if you're vaccinated, you still got to wear a mask, just, sit tight.
Yeah.
And then suddenly to turn around and change. My understanding, and I trust that the new guidance is based in science,
Mhm.
that vaccinated people are not at risk of spreading COVID, and that is extremely reassuring.
Yeah.
But there's a social component to it that I think is a little bit unusual.
Mhm.
And so, we've had some pretty good compliance here in Minnesota, but at least in Minneapolis. But I have seen more people without a mask on in the past 2 weeks, which makes sense because the government's saying it's fine now.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are still like they're not ready to have that social interaction of like, because you're not talking to all the people around you as you
Mhm.
walk through the park or at the mall.
right.
And so you don't know, that sort of that, like, are you vaccinated, or do you just not have your mask on because some people would forget, or worse, right? 'Cause there's a lot of assumptions that people make of each other.
Yeah.
A lot of lack of trust going around. And I think I can trust people, like, generally.
Mhm.
But at the same time, that sort of unknowability is very frustrating. And in a
Right.
time of anxiety,
Yeah.
I think people are very frustrated by that. I'm a little less tolerant of people being like, no, you can't change this rule because and only because a bunch of people will take advantage of it.
Yeah, because I think they would have taken advantage of it regardless of that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, if you are going to trust the science, you do actually want to trust the science.
Yeah.
But the messaging has been very confusing and it's not been rolled out very well.
Right.
And it has been kind of difficult. I'm like, I'm vaccinated. I can take my mask off at IKEA,
Mhm.
but I don't.
Yeah.
And for social reasons almost exclusively now.
Mhm.
And I think it's a little strange. I think. I just made me think of this because like I'm sure the mall is open and I'm sure people are navigating that right now.
Yeah.
But all throughout the pandemic, not everybody could shop online, not everybody could work from
Right.
home, and so I think a lot more things were open than maybe than certainly I was sort of like cognizant of because they had to be.
Yeah.
And so there are people who navigated this in a much more on the surface level or ground level way. I'm just rambling now, but
That's fine. This is what this whole episode is supposed to be.
Yeah.
well, thinking
on
about
theme.
what we have now that when we go out into the world and sort of is I think what a lot of people experienced throughout the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because they were forced to by circumstance.
Sure.
And it's going to be really interesting. I really hope there's a lot of effort on the oral history of this year and a half. Where people talk about like what it was like for them. I think we are drowning in people's experiences right now. Like we're all talking to each other. We all have this thing in common, which is kind of great actually. We have a common ground.
Yeah.
There's a real value to that. But I really do hope that because we're only hearing from the people in our lives, right? I would love to read a book of stories of regular people from all over the world. Because there will be a lot of things that are familiar. The more confident I am about what is happening, I always to catch myself. Like, no. It's really different for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And now that we go out in the world, I see like other people experiencing it, but I'm like, yes, but I'm seeing them having their experience now. I'm not seeing what those people did a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I had the same thinking when I was just walking to get to a place.
Yeah.
On Thursday, like I was noticing people walking around living life, going into places. There were people sitting in restaurants or whatever, hanging out, and I was like, wow, this is I am imagining that people were doing this for a while now, and I'm just now noticing it. I kind of had those experiences throughout the whole pandemic because, like, when I would get rides from my brother or whatever, I would see people outside and be like, wow, there are people outside doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I did have to like leave my apartment to like turn in an assignment or something. So I wasn't completely locked in, but
yeah.
It was in, I guess, bursts. Like I would maybe leave every once a month or something. And so like that experience or seeing people doing stuff over time and like sort of feeling like things changed but didn't change, and I'm not being clear as to how much things had actually changed because I've only seen one specific instance of it, made it very confusing to know how other people were dealing with stuff. Because like a lot of people were complaining about how people aren't wearing masks and stuff, and from my perspective, I was like, isn't everybody wearing masks? Because I only saw myself.
Right.
So
100% of the people around me are wearing masks.
Right.
Well, let me ask
really good compliance in this apartment.
Yeah.
I want to ask both of you because that's in talking to people from other states and other countries in this past year. And a lot of people are they get very frustrated. I think anecdotes become data in your mind.
Yeah.
And so people or other people's anecdotes become data in your mind.
Right.
And so I think there was a lot of like that growing distrust in other people. I've been very nervous about that.
Yeah.
And hearing because what I have seen is when I have gone out, when I've gone grocery shopping at 3 a.m, early in the pandemic, or when I had to go out into the world, I, for the most part, and this is very much my experience, but I didn't see a lot of, I didn't see any confrontations. For the most part, people had masks on.
Yeah.
People walking through parking lots on their way back to their car didn't take their mask off till they got in their car.
Yeah.
It seemed to be I think people understood, but I don't know how true that is. You know what I mean? Like how widespread is that? So for the two of you, did you see a lot of situations where, or even anecdotally, where people like at grocery stores or whatever, because I feel people talk about it and I'm like, I don't know. I think people are doing fine. At least the slice of life that I'm exposed to.
I really only heard it from other people.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't really go to grocery stores or anything.
Yeah.
So from what I heard from other people were not wearing masks. But I mean, that's only hearsay. Like, I don't know how much. And frankly, we emphasize the negative experiences, right? So like, if you see one person not wearing a mask, you're like, nobody's wearing a mask. And that's it. In a lot of ways, it kind of makes sense because like if they're exposing yourself, the mask isn't going to prevent it from necessarily exposing it to other people. So it feels like a much more dangerous thing than maybe it is. I don't know enough about the science to know whether or not it is how dangerous it actually is. But yeah, like I think that like there were probably more people than I personally think there were not wearing masks, but it did feel like people were relatively safe about stuff.
Yeah.
Even when people weren't wearing masks, there was a lot of distancing and
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people were like doing their best, but then they were all 3 feet apart instead of 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And I think that was just because we tried to make this autonomic, and I don't think we successfully did that as a society.
Yeah.
So we were all on our toes the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think people tried.
Right. Yeah.
That was my experience. But I have to be open to the possibility it wasn't. That's why I'm asking you, the two of you, because the slice of life I see is pretty similar to the slice of life you see. So.
Yeah. I think everyone I know personally was really good with mask adherence and social distancing. When I would go out like to grab something from the grocery store, we did most of our groceries delivered and so on and so forth. But when we would go somewhere, I'd like see one person in the store out of 50 people in the store with their mask on incorrectly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that always drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's not hard, you guys.
Right.
And it doesn't do anything if your nose is sticking out.
Yes.
So you might as well just take it off then.
Well, that's the difference between like the trusting people to try and actually whether they did it or not.
Yeah, that just to me,
Yeah.
I always interpreted that as like malicious compliance.
Yeah, right.
But then you don't, right, it's the background of the 50 other people in the store who have their mask on correctly. You don't notice that because that's just, they aren't the outliers. The outlier is what you remember.
Yeah.
And the outliers in this case were the people not wearing their masks or not wearing them correctly or trying to cause a fuss. And I can't really think of seeing that kind of malicious compliance more than a handful of times.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I really wasn't out doing things in buildings with other people more than a handful of times.
Yeah.
Right.
But everyone like walking on the walking paths, people are not wearing masks, but everyone was really careful to socially distance and that was fine. And I got yelled at once because I was running by a bus stop or across a intersection. I was out running for exercise.
Yeah.
And
Listeners can't see, but Ellen is mimicking a running motion with her hands.
for exercise. And I was like, stop. I was waiting for a traffic light to change. And this was near like a small shopping center where the grocery store is that we usually go to. And nobody's around, right? It's outside. Like it was outside. And somebody yelled at me for not wearing a mask. And that was like, okay, people in my neighborhood take it really seriously.
Yeah.
I got yelled at for not wearing a mask while I was by myself outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need, according to the guidelines, I don't need to be wearing a mask right now.
Right.
But I appreciate that you care.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, it's an overreaction, but good job.
Yeah. Okay. But I am glad that you said something to me because it means that you take it seriously.
Yeah.
And then I ran away
Yeah.
because I was exercising,
Right.
not because it was scary.
Actually, I'm remembering now that I did go out with my parents walking because my parents have been walking a lot over this whole thing. And when they went out, like they don't wear masks, and I was really surprised to hear that. I was like, "Why aren't y'all wearing masks? Because we're just walking. It doesn't like if we were running, I could see that being the case, but if we're just walking, we should wear masks and be safe." And my parents were like, "No, it's safe. We make sure to be distant when like we're crossing people around the our walking path or whatever." I put my mask on for my own comfort when we did it, but like a lot of people weren't wearing masks when they were walking outside, on the walking paths or whatever, and like we would distance ourselves from people and stuff when we crossed paths with them. But I was just like I was very anxious that whole time. I was like, why aren't these people wearing masks? What's going on?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
And we've learned a lot more of the science of it. That
the
outdoor transmission is extremely rare.
Right.
So it's very likely that even people who are non-compliant in outdoors were probably not. But we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't know that then.
Yeah.
And that's been an interesting part of this whole thing is when we do these check-ins, I've lamented about the I would have just loved a big old checklist. Like, there's a certain case where sometimes like the government should sometimes tell you what to do. Yeah. That's not taking your freedom because I don't have an opinion about whether I should wear a mask in the park or not. I have no opinion either way, so I will do what you tell me.
Yes.
Is if I can trust, there's obviously an element of trust involved.
Yeah.
But I think that authorities were very resistant to having real directives because humans generally, and Americans in particular, are resistant to that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also our understanding changed, and I think the resistance wasn't just about worrying about a reaction, but also we didn't have a lot of confidence in what the best practices were. We never got a solid footing
Right.
on there. We're only now getting closer to that, where now that the risks generally are even less, and so it's kind of almost less important for us to know what the things are.
Well, I mean, we've got more knowledge and skills instilled in the population for the next one. Unfortunately, there will be another one. That's just how it is.
Yep.
But like a lot of countries who saw H1N1, I'm definitely outside of my domain here. But company or organizations, countries that have seen pandemics in the last decade or two, had compliance that was way higher, right? When it came to countermeasures and preventative measures, because they've been doing it already. They know what it's like. They know what they have to do. They have the masks already.
Yeah. The best example of that is South Korea. South Korea was the only, I think it was the only nation, and my facts might be a little bit off, but the only nation outside the Middle East that had a MERS outbreak in 20 something.
Yeah, sure.
And it was handled kind of badly. It wasn't, a couple of people died, but it was generally thought to have, culturally, it was thought to have been a big failure of government.
Okay.
To not prepare for that.
Sure.
And so when COVID came around, there was a ton of social interest, public pressure to do it right.
Yeah.
And there was very little squabbling about not just compliance, but about like who should be in charge of deciding, or once a decision's been made, like how long should we litigate it? Like, and they moved pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So they were a success story early on in the pandemic. I think that's probably the best example of what you're talking about, Ellen. That sort of like you as a culture, as a society, as a civilization, you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And that's it'd be better if we had more foresight, but learning our lessons the next best thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna keep my masks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I could do with them other than keep them.
Yeah.
Turn them into a bikini or something. I'm not sure.
Doesn't seem like a very...
No.
Doesn't seem comfortable.
They're going to stay as masks.
Yeah, that seems... Yeah.
Right. Okay, folks, enough rambling. We have pieces of news to talk about.
Yes.
I'm sure we can ramble our way through that too.
It's been a bit of an eventful week or two, I think, just outside of us all now being vaccinated.
Yeah.
But Stephen, you and I both got offered jobs this past week.
Yes.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit about as much as we can at this early stage.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Okay, I can go first. Yeah, I got an offer from Future Club. They are the developers of Skullgirls. And yeah, well, actually, I can technically get an offer. We have to figure out the details as of me talking now. But I think
there's some TBD involved. But yes. When
basically the job I would be a senior developer for Future Club, which is is really big. So I would be working on their next project. Mm-hmm. What that may be, I don't know. I would be doing a lot of the gameplay development stuff, which is perfect because like if it was art stuff, I would have a hard time.
Well, that's a studio known for their really strong art styles.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times indie games they'll cobble together art talent from what they've got going. And that's a really great way to do it. Mm-hmm. But this is a studio it brings on illustrators to really define the look of their works.
Right, yeah.
And that's perfect for you because you don't want any part of that.
Yeah, pretty much. And what it'll be like, they are doing they're venturing into Unity. And so I will be doing a lot of the, setting them up for that.
Yeah.
And I've been developing in Unity for 7 years, longer than that, probably, I guess, at this point. So yeah, I will help them, figure that all out. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to it. It is a co-op, and that's not something I'm used to. But it's very exciting. I'm really excited.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's you've talked in the past about your career as a developer, mm-hmm. and like what your aims are, what you want, and what you haven't gotten, and what you like your frustrations and your triumphs.
Yeah.
And this show has been like we've documented a lot of that on the program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so pleased. I'm so proud of you too. Because this is you always said you don't love development. You want to be a designer.
Yeah.
But what is you are an excellent developer, and this is a job where you can. The way you were describing it to me anyway is that you can do a lot of the work that you are trained for, that you have the education in.
Yeah.
And you have a ton of design experience,
Right.
but you haven't had a lot of career mentorship or opportunities in design.
Yeah.
And this is a place where you can get that, in a place that's small enough and collaborative enough where you get to still do some design work in a way that is in a supportive environment.
Yeah.
In a way, and also, but you're not an intern. You're a senior developer.
Yeah.
You get to bring all the skills and talent that you've had over these past years to that process, but you don't have to choose.
Yeah.
That's my hope for you, anyways. That you won't have to choose at this new place. You'll be able to do both of those things. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, we actually talked about that a little bit during the interview process. Like, I would like to do some design stuff. And basically they said we're small enough a team where basically everybody's going to be doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It's just that some people are responsible for it at the end of the day. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the designers' actual spreadsheets, seeing all the numbers,
Ooh, yeah.
getting to see why they made this thing 9 instead of 10.
And you're gonna call a meeting because it's got to be 9.72.
Yes. Y'all don't even know.
I'm seeing only whole numbers in here. I know it can be better.
You don't understand how excited I am for that.
That's
It's gonna be so great. But I'm not the only one who got a job recently, right?
I don't know who else got a new job.
I think it was you, Mark.
It was.
You better remember this.
Yeah.
Write it down.
I just finished my first week. I got hired by Tendershoot, and that's the folks who did Hypnospace Outlaw.
Yeah.
And I'm been working on their next project.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting because I'm going to be doing building tools and systems. So this is also a group of developers who are new to Unity, and so I'm being brought in for my C# and Unity knowledge.
Mhm.
I gotta say though, the lead developer that I'm working with, Mike, is you wouldn't know it. Just from the work I've been doing this past week, he's really taking quickly to a lot of this stuff.
Cool.
So when I was talking to them in an interview, they were, I was saying like, we need someone who can kind of show us the ropes sometimes. And I'm like, brilliant. I have actually some experience doing that kind of work. And I that's not a burden on me. I'm happy to be a resource as well as, providing actual work of my own.
Yeah.
But I've been a sounding board on that so far, but I don't think I'm going to have to be doing a ton of that work. I think they're catching on quick, and I'm really pleased about that.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm going to be, there's so much I want to talk about with it. But I think it won't make a lot of sense at first, but like I'm building I'm like creating a programming language for this thing.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool. And what's great about it is like the experience you're describing, Stephen, this is a very, very small team.
Mhm.
And it's if anyone's played Hypnospace Outlaw, you know that game has a ton of its content was driven by its structure.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And so that is definitely going to be the case for this new project, where a lot of the way basically I'm building these tools for people to create content with. What that means is that I'm building the playground for them to play in a way that's going to define what this content is, which is it's so up my alley.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how this is exactly the right work for me, in the sense that like they didn't hire me as a designer, but it's the same thing. It's like I will be unavoidably doing design work on this project in a way that is I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah.
And so it's been a real blast, and it looked like a cool thing to go for. When I talked to them, we clicked immediately, and when I found out what it really was, I got extremely excited, and then they offered it to me, the next day. And so it's just been smooth sailing so far. We'll see how smooth sailing it goes. But I love the folks involved, and it's also a part-time job for me. So it's going to be 3 days a week, which means I still have the rest of my week to finish my own games, which that's been I've always been resistant to getting a job in games, because I don't necessarily want to, I guess I have it both ways. I didn't really want to work on somebody else's game. That was not something I wanted to do.
Sure.
I would love to be, I'm happy to be third on the list, like it's somebody else's vision, but I'm there, leading the charge. Like it's not that it needs to be my vision or anything, but I don't I don't just want to do the labor. Like I've done that in my career in media, and that's really unsatisfying.
Yeah.
And so I was always resistant to that because then I wouldn't be able to do my own projects. But in this case, not only am I basically the number 3 on this project in the sense that like I get to contribute, but also support a core vision that I don't have the responsibility for, which is also nice.
Yeah.
But I get to have a lot of say, which is good. But also I get the rest of the week to keep working on my own thing. So I don't have to go hustling for gigs. I don't like my next 2 years are scheduled, and I'm really, really pleased about that. It means that I only have, I'm working the weekend. So 4 days a week, I'm working on Metro Nexus and my Playdate project.
Yeah.
And anything else that I put together. That is less time than I've been able to devote the past few months, but it's ultimately the best thing for me right now. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. And the way you were describing this job to me before, I was like, this is literally the perfect job for you.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's uncanny. And it was a bit of a stroke of luck. Like any job, you see a listing, you go for it, and then you imagine all the other ways it could have gone. But it is so unbelievably perfect for me.
Yeah.
In a way that is just unbelievable. And it just a couple of weeks ago wasn't even something I would have considered. So it's amazing how quickly these things can happen for you.
Yeah. You're ready for it and you're open for it and being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Well, Ellen, you transitioned as well over our time being online, recording online.
Well, it was a long time ago.
It was a little while ago, but you've probably settled into a groove at this point. I'd like to hear about
Ellen,
that.
this section is split in 3. You need to take your third of this section.
I wanted to see if I could hold the Playdate.
Oh, it's right here. I'll grab it for you.
Things are fine for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Nothing is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any. I'm still moving rocks
Sure.
around the landscape. Haven't killed any plants. Oh, I'm holding the Playdate. It's so cute.
If you go ahead and press A, you'll launch the in progress application, and we could just announce it on the show. I'm working on Widget Satchel 2.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Look at that little zoom. This is broken.
That's bigger than I remember.
It's broken. It's jumping. What does the crank do?
It does nothing in the main menu, but if you go to the there's a bunch of signs above you.
Blink.
Blink. Go ahead under the gravimetric sign.
Gravimetric. Ooh, I'm having a difficult time jumping over there. Oh, there, got it. Gravimetrics.
And then go ahead and press B, and that will launch the mini game. This is going to be a mini game collection.
Yeah.
That uses all the hardware on the Playdate. This amazing bunch of stuff. And then the game that is the prototype of the game that Ellen is looking at now. It's the only one that's working in the game right now. Use the crank to rotate one of our tidy bots, the little robots that you face, and then you have to use a stylus to move like on a radial maze on the top of this robot that you're rotating, and to basically break all of its components. And so the mechanic is such that I've described this to you, Stephen, a couple of times, I think, but I don't think I've talked about it on the show. But the game will have a bunch of mini games, and each mini game is kind of a sort of tower defense, high score style, where you have to kind of you work to break a bunch of stuff, and each game is a little bit different. And then ultimately, the Ellen just handed me the play.
Thought it was broken.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things don't work, so it is kind of broken.
It's in development. Sorry.
Yeah, in development.
It's not broken.
Yeah, but the idea is that you basically you go to these mini games, and then you have to keep an eye on the other mini games' repair status. So the humans on the bridge will fix the things you break.
How dare they?
And so you have to break them in an order in order to keep it broken as long as possible.
Yeah.
And that's very Sprocket. And the game is over once they've repaired all the systems. And so while you're doing a mini game, which is you can either it's a maze or an accelerometer driven labyrinth.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Guitar Hero style rhythm game because the thing has a microphone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
DS style. I have a bunch of fun ideas for these games. As you do those, you need to kind of say, okay, now I've done this well enough. I need to go quickly. It's plate spinning, right?
Yeah.
That's the metaphor that I should have used from the beginning. It's plate spinning, and if you can spin the plates long enough and keep the humans busy, you'll get the high score. And I'm excited about this as a metagame. It also lets me like play with all the components as a little piece of hardware.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Ellen's having such a good time.
Oh man, this is a hard maze.
Yeah. But Panic, who makes a Playdate, they're going to be they're putting out another update video that sort of showcases some of the the work they've been doing and the people who've been in the developer preview game, and this will be part of it. You'll see people will see a little bit of maybe a 4 or 5 second taste along with all the other really amazing projects
That's cool.
that the developers are doing. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to announce what it is I'm working on with this thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
We've talked for a while now.
Yeah.
And
Is that how this works? We just talk for a while and then we stop
And
doing
we're
that?
done.
we're supposed to do that for this episode because it was a special, and nobody told me we were supposed to have an outro. So
Uh-huh.
we don't have an outro.
Yeah.
Play nice. I looked at my script.
Make nice.
So until we
Until we start again.
do it again one more
Make nice.
time.
Nice Games
That's
Club
not my line.
/Discord. nicegames.club/Discord.
Nicegames.club/Discord.
Patreon.
Patreon.
Yes.
Feedback form.
Nicegames.club/feedback.
Feedback form. Yep. Nicegames.club/feedback.
Email us, contact@nicegames.club.
Dale tweets things.
Dale tweets things.
Like such as game dev resources and insert funny tweet here.
Yep. All of that.
If you want, we have show notes.
We've got a Patreon.
We are not going to have show notes. I promise
Probably
you.
not. No,
It's going to be.
I had
be,
ambitions to take notes. I didn't do that either. Yeah, we got a Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Patreon.com/nicegamesclub.
Give us your money. Yeah,
Give
we
us
did that.
Website.
Because this is an episode worth paying for. You better believe.
No, we're not putting this on the Patreon. We only put things on there worth paying for.
Right. There are extra things on the Patreon. I just posted something on the Patreon that was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, check all of those things out. Peace.
Hug your friends if you can.
Hug your friends if you can. I love it.
Yes, hug your friends if you can.
All right. Well, I haven't hit stop yet, so
Cool.
How do we know when to end?
Normally, how do we know when to end?
There's an outro.
Oh,
the song
right.
ends. The song stops.
Play us home.
I'm going to give you one more chance
To do what?
to close us out.
Beat me up, Scotty.
I was trying to be good this episode about Star Trek
Yeah,
references.
well,
but
when you put me in a corner, I don't know. When I'm surrounded by Star Trek things, this is your
That's true. You should be glad we didn't play Star Trek trivia. We have the whole deck in front of us.
Organized by season.
Yeah.
Stop it now. Before we do trivia.
Next time.
Oh, Lord.
Hey there, this is Jeremy Parrish, and if you're a fan of classic video game soundtracks, or if you just love 20-minute rock epics about war-ready armadillos that battle Catholicism, you should listen to Alexander's Ragtime Band. Join the power trio of myself, Elliot Long, and James Eldred each month as we talk about the most pretentious music of all, progressive rock, right here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Ray, and this is my friend Alex.
Hi.
And we do a show called No More Whoppers.
We're not brothers, but we do have a graphic novel about our D&D campaign.
If you can escape us, you deserve to be free.
No More Whoppers is the animality of podcasts.
Join us every month or so on the Greenlit Podcast Network.